I'm Mike Sullivan, and today we'll answer a question from one of our members. He wants to know how to hit a controlled draw and fade on demand. Okay, so how to hit draws and fades on command. What can be easier? It's simple, right? This is a question that was asked of me by one of our golf members here, Nick. So Nick, thank you very much for asking the question. And you know, he asked me the question while I was kind of running around in between doing lessons and some other things. So I figured I'd just make a video about it, although I did talk to him about it a little bit. So when we want to hit a draw or a fade, what we're looking to do is we're looking to change the way the ball spins. And so if you think of it looking down this camera right here, I'm going to put a target line down parallel to this line in front of my feet here. And if I'm going to hit a ball that is going to draw, then I'm going to swing my club really in more of a normal way. Okay? So if I'm going to have this thing draw, I'm going to swing this club down so that as it comes around my body, which is a natural motion, it's going to swing from the inside of the target line, move out onto the target line, and when it catches the ball, what's going to happen is the ball is going to roll up the club face. Now, it rolls up the club face as the club is still in the process of closing. And what that does is that it makes the axis of rotation one where, and let's pretend I'm hitting a ball. We'll hit a ball out this way. It makes the axis rotation one where instead of having backspin just going straight back like this, it's going to tilt like so. And what happens is as that ball spins up against the air, and especially as it slows down, it's going to curve to the left for a right-handed golfer. All right? So a draw shot is one where the club usually swings from the inside of the target line, catches the ball. Sometimes it hits a little bit here on the inside part of the ball. Sometimes it hits the back of the ball. But in any case, the club face is closing, and essentially what happens is your club face ends up closed relative to the path, and it puts that draw spin on the ball. Okay? So if I wanted to ensure that I was going to hit a draw, if I really want to make sure I was going to hit a draw and learn how to do this, I would play the ball a little bit farther back than normal, not necessarily back in my stance. Okay? But for the purposes of this demonstration and learning how to hit a draw, I'm going to play the ball a little bit back of center. That's going to help me catch the ball as the club is coming from the inside a little bit more. And the ball should launch to the right of my target line. And then, depending on how good a job I do of getting that club face to rotate close, which actually isn't as tough as it sounds, I should get some draw spin on it. Now, as we do this, this is, for me now, under the gun, doing it with the cameras rolling, it's not an automatic thing. So I'm going to work through this the same way that you would work through this. If the shots aren't good, we'll talk about what happened, but we're not going to just hit 2 shots and have it come out perfect. So let's go through the process here. So, and so now that I said that, they'll probably be 2 good shots, right? So a little bit back of center, okay? I'm going to take my normal grip, and I'm going to allow myself to hit the ball a little bit on the inside, expecting the ball to launch out to the right. So let's see what happens here with that one. Here we go. Okay, that launched fairly straight, and it is drawing. So that was my nice little draw shot. It didn't start out to the right at all, but it did draw. My club face was closed relative to the path. So that would say was pretty much a success. But let's go ahead and show you how it's going to happen for you a little bit more. I'm just going to make sure I get the hang of hitting the inside part of the ball and hitting what looks like a little bit of a push here. Okay, so that was a nice little push. It didn't draw back because the club face wasn't really closing quite enough. And this is the sort of a thing that we're going to go through. By the way, the first ball I hit, why did that first ball start straight instead of starting out to the right? The reason the ball started straight is when the ball released from the club face, my club face was pointed at the target line. Your ball will always launch in the direction your club face is pointing. If my club face is pointing there, it's going there. If it's pointing there, it's going there. It's always going to start in the direction the club face is pointing. There used to be, years ago when I was learning all this stuff, the PGA manual used to have the ball flight laws, and it said the ball was going to start in the direction the path was going, and then it would curve based on the club face. But it has been proven that the ball will launch wherever that club face is pointing, and then the path, along with the club face, influences the curvature. All right, let's get over here to hitting a fade now. So now I'm going to play the ball a little bit more forward in my stance than normal. So when I come from the inside again with this club and get out here in front of me, and the club should be fairly much pointing at the target, it's going to hit the ball though as it's starting to move to the left. So this ball should start to the left, and depending how closed or open my club face is, that's going to determine if it goes left to left or left a little bit of a right hand type of a spin. So I'm going to go ahead and just start this thing to the left and see what else happens based on this ball position. Okay, so that started a little bit to the left, and it's fading off to the right, so that worked out okay. So as you're doing this, you're going to have to experiment with it a little bit. As we talk about it and say, oh, you just have to move your ball position around, you'll hit draws and you'll hit fades. Well, it's also really easy for me, if I get the ball positioned up forward in my stance, it's very common to make this swing come this way, over the top, out to in. Then I can hit a big old pull or a big old pull slice. So we have to practice with it and get a feel for it. When I hit that cut shot, that second one, it doesn't feel solid. So if I was going to play that on the golf course, I'd really have to practice that, a whole heck of a lot. So let me show you one other thing, and you're not going to see the ball flight, but I'll just walk you through it. If I play that shot where I'm trying to hit a fade, and I allow that club to really rotate closed quite a bit, it's going to be a pull hook. So that one went left to left, a big old pull hook. So it's really important that you practice this stuff. You should practice somewhere where you have alignment aids, so you know for sure where you're aiming. And you need to practice it enough so that you feel like when you get on the golf course, 80 or 90% of the time, you can pull the shot off and not have it be a big problem for you. So just again to summarize really quick, a draw is when you strike that ball a little more on the, I'll put a ball down here as a little demonstration. A draw is when we strike that ball and catch more of the inside part of the ball, and that club face is closing a little bit faster than it needs to hit just a dead push. So you're hitting the inside part of the ball with a little bit of rotation. A fade is usually a shot where we hit more the outside part of the ball and we don't rotate that club face just as much. In either case, if you hit the back of the ball, so just from down here down the target line, if I hit the back of the ball and I hit this shot, that's going to be a cut. If I go ahead and hit the back of the ball and hit like that shot, that would be more of a draw. Okay, so I really hope that this is useful. I hope it makes sense. The biggest thing that you have to do is you have to practice with this stuff. You're basically practicing making contact on the inside part of the ball versus the outside part of the ball, and then getting a feel for how that club face feels. When you're doing this, don't take big, giant, full swings. Don't practice it first with the driver. I'm using a 7-iron here. The 7-iron gives me, it's a short enough club with enough loft that I can control it pretty well, and it's not real tough to hit good shots with, but it also is strong enough of a loft so that it helps put a lot of that spin on there. One last tip. When you're on the golf course, whenever you're trying to curve a shot, here's what we want to do. We never want to aim the ball at a disaster. So if you've got out of bounds right, do not feel like you're going to start that ball at the out of bounds and draw it back. That's just a recipe for disaster. Also, try to never curve your ball towards trouble. And figure you're just going to gauge exactly right and how not to catch that. So when you're playing these shots, don't just make sure that if you do hit it straight without that curve, you don't get into trouble, and never try to curve the ball in towards trouble. So again, I hope that helps. If you want to get this stuff to work out for you, good fundamentals, a lot of practice. The game is always a lot more fun when you're playing better golf.